Hi, and welcome to this video. We're going to look at and train some tactics. What I will do now, I will go to leadchess.org, I will go to the tactics trainer and solve some tactics, and let's try to keep in mind checks, captures, and threats. These are often the keys to, well, tactical puzzles and your thought process in a chess game. And let's also keep an eye on loose pieces because they tend to drop off. So tactics, very important on all levels. So we're going to train them. Okay, let's continue and get our first problem. And black just took a pawn on d4. If we take it back, then we have an ending with equal material. So if you take it back with a pawn or a knight, we have equal material. So that's what's going on in this ending. But I think we can win material. Well, obviously we can since it's a puzzle. So what I'm thinking right now, so check, captures, threats. We don't have any checks. The king actually can't be checked here. Captures, we take this. It's a normal move, it's not a tactic. This is probably what we would play if this was a normal game. But also we have to look at other options and which threats can we make. The knight can't really make any threats. I mean, okay, if we go, well, actually we can, but if we go to d4, he takes on c2. We have to take back and equal ending. But the threat we can make with the knight that I'm looking at right now is to go knight a7. And that threatens the rook. But on the other hand, it hangs our rook right here. So my tactical intuition or patterns have guided me in the direction of finding that we have an x-ray of knight takes c8 after knight a7, rook takes c2, knight takes c8 is with check. So the rook has to take, and our rook takes on c8. We have won the exchange, and we're actually threatening the bishop on f8 as well. The only thing we have to worry about is if this pawn is getting too far, but with the bishop being attacked and our king also ready to cover the pawn, I don't see that as an issue. Therefore, what other things do we have to look at? Knight a7, rook takes a7, rook takes c8. Same thing, we can contain the pawn. So this looks like a winning tactic. Knight to a7. Rook takes, and we take this rook. Okay, we're off to a good start. Let's see the next one. Ooh, this is messy. Lionel Messi even. So I like to take stock. So if this was a normal game, of course we would know what's going on, the material situation, etc. But white just took a pawn, so at the moment he has 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we take back the pawn. It's equal pawns. Material seems equal as well. So checks, captures, and threats. Checks, only one check. Does it do anything? I don't see it. Maybe if we had knight before, it would be an option, but we don't. Captures. Okay, taking back as the natural move. Do we have something like a Swiss-Zug, like, well, knight takes e5, or maybe even a knight coming to b4. Knight b4 would hit the queen and hit a2. Knight takes e5. Well, knight shows a pawn. This one, and undermines the knight. So you always look at the consequences of a move. When we take on e5, we remove the defender. We also attack the queen. And the knight on e5 covers c4. So the knight is not coming back to c4 because we have the knight and the rook and the bishop covering c4 as well. Meanwhile, white has only two defenders. With the c4 square, so knight c4 will not be available. So I actually don't see what white does after knight takes e5. We then, okay, queen moves somewhere, let's say d3, we take this, okay, it takes on h6, but we just move the bishop to f6 and our king is safe on h8. So I'm actually just going to make this move. I don't see any other candidates really. D3, no. Go for it. And take it. Okay. Seems like an easy one, in a way. Yeah, this one, it's rather easy. It's a well-known pattern. I know the pattern, but that always helps, of course. But also, it would help if you just look at the checks, captures, and threats. So the move is queen takes h2. This is check, and it's very forcing. King has to take, then we play knight g3, check. King has to go to g1, and then we give checkmate here. So this is actually a very simple puzzle, but a good pattern to know. Okay. We are seemingly on a roll here at the moment. Now, this, well, looks like an open position because it is. This is 10 moves in, and white has played the, seemingly strange move, queen e2 to d3, which doesn't seem to serve any purpose other than to maybe play knight g5 and threaten bishop takes f6. You know, some hope chess, but the queen is a bit exposed there. So can we take advantage of it? We have no checks, obviously. We have no captures, so we can only make threats or identify loose pieces. I think, yeah, that third category, if you don't see, checks, captures, then threats and the loose pieces come sort of together in the third category. Now here, the first thing I'm looking at is just simply attacking the queen. Why? Because the queen also has to keep an eye on the c2 pawn. So if you move knight b4, there is queen to c3. And the queen is getting a little bit cracked. Now I see it. It's like a checkmate puzzle. Wow, this is so cool. So knight b4, queen c3. If you keep going down that line, there are no checks, no captures. There are only threats. How can we threaten the queen? We can play knight e4. But the problem with that is queen takes g7, checkmate. So we're almost trapping the queen, but there's something missing. What can we do? Can we close that diagonal and keep that threat? Actually, we can. So in the new situation, knight b4, queen c3, a threatening move is d4. So a pawn threatens the queen. Obvious threat. If pawn takes d4, knight to d5 threatens the queen. And remember, this knight is covering here. So a knight from d5 would attack the queen. The white pawn would be here, and we're covering this square. So the only other thing we have to check out for is after knight b4 and queen to c3. After we play d4, is knight takes d4 because it opens an attack on our rook. However, we can take back the knight with our pawn, and we're still attacking the queen. And then we just move the rook and we won a piece. So knight b4, the queen has to go back to e2, then we take on c2. And I don't see anything for white there. So yeah, and the key move here seems to be d4. Okay, it takes with the knight, then we take with the pawn. Obviously, I didn't mention, but I had seen that the bishop is covering the knight, very important. So we can take here, and then we simply move the rook while the queen is attacked. Okay, we keep going. Ooh, knight to e5. So this is another opening position with a lot of things under attack. Oh, can we? I see the contours of. Oh, I almost did, but got excited there. So what I was looking at was some idea with Queen C3 and maybe takes on F3 or something, and Queen takes C6 takes Bishop A6, but there's a flight square. So I was looking at, the patterns kicked in, Boden's mate, already from our first pattern recognition video. Boden's mate. Okay, so it seems like, okay, check, out of the question, doesn't do anything. Queen for rook, we're losing. This capture, this queen takes check, I don't see that as an option. Taking on e5, rook takes d2, and bishop takes g4, is that an option? Knight takes e5, rook takes d2, bishop takes g4. I'm looking at this as an option because we have now, okay, we lost our queen, but we have gained two pieces, this one and this one. What's more, we are attacking the queen, which can only sacrifice itself for one piece. It does, however, have this square, h4. Can we trap it? Can we trap the queen? So close. There's also the idea just to simply take the rook on d2 after we take on e5 with a knight and g4 with a bishop. Even then just taking the rook, which is on d2 now after the queen moves to h4, would give us two pieces and a rook for a queen, which is good for us. I'm quickly going to look at other options, like queen to c3. Notice that queen to a5 loses immediately because knight takes f3 is check and the queen takes our queen. So queen c3. Okay, if knight takes f3, pawn takes f3, and this bishop, well, he can take on h3, but it should drop after like bishop f1, I think. But he can take with a bishop on f3. So queen c3, this is what I'm looking at, bishop takes f3. Probably pawn takes, and I don't see anything else there going on. So I'm mostly attracted to knight takes e5, rook takes d2, bishop takes g4, queen h4, the only move threatening the pawn on f2. Maybe we can play g3 there even. Queen f6. King takes d2 or something. We're so close to being set up for the with queen c3. It's so close to Boden's mate, like bishop f3, gf3. If the knight goes to d7, it's Boden's mate. Or we can, yeah, just play bishop d6, protect the knight. So knight takes e5. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time here, but it seems like we at least get two pieces and a rook for a queen. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I don't see anything else. HG, I didn't see as an option. Okay, rook takes f2 first, then we just take here and drop a piece. Okay. Quickly want to see the move after queen h4. Here I thought we would just take the rook. I didn't see a way to trap the queen here. So quickly, let's turn on the engine. Bishop takes d2, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, maybe one more. Oh, we're down. We're down for the count, but hopefully not out. So we can take on f6 and e4, and we have equal material. But I think bishop takes it. Okay, so we're looking at checks and captures. Oh, there only seem to be two candidate moves. What I'm looking at is, well, bishop takes e4, bishop to f5. Can we play queen to e1 there? That could be like a key move. So I don't think queen takes f6 can be the solution, because rook takes f6. We can take everything and bishop takes e4. But I think the ending is actually lost for us because his king is quite quick. And queen takes f6, rook takes f6, bishop takes e4. Just king back. We have to take the rook, otherwise we're done the exchange. King takes, and again, king f2, king here. Okay, we might draw actually, though. King f2, king e5, king e3. But a4 is hanging as well, so we don't have time. So the ending looks good for black. So, okay, I can almost make the move bishop takes e4 on principle. It has to be the move. It has to be the move. I'm not gonna make it. The only other move could be queen e1. Not to allow queen f2 check. The queen has to move somewhere, and then we take on e4. But then I think you can play like maybe queen f4, we take on e4, king f7. So I think we take here because the king has to keep an eye on this. It can't go here because queen takes f6. Can't go here because queen back to the first rank with deadly pin. So bishop takes e4 is the first move. So we have to find out what to do after bishop takes f5. Normally we should do this before taking, but I think in a normal game I would take and then have a look to see if I have to go for the ending and hope to draw it, or if I have something better. So what I was looking at here was queen to e1. This is actually beautiful. The thing with queen e1 is if the queen goes to e7, I take on f5 check and the queen is hanging, loose pieces drop off. If the queen goes to f7, I play g4, attacking the bishop, and if bishop takes e4, queen takes e4, and what you'll see there is that all the diagonals will be covered. This one by the queen, this one by the bishop, and this one by the pawn, and the queen being on f7 means black would have to give up the queen. So I think queen e1 is a very nice geometrical move here, worthy of finishing this video. So yeah, of course, bishop takes e4, we take the queen. And we won. We are winning. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. Tactics, train them, checks, captures, threats, and loose pieces. Like in that last variation, queen e7, the queen drops off, being undefended on e7. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. And now you go do your own training. Very important. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.